Inside of the concentration camps, there were some harrowing torture methods used to inflict suffering and pain onto the inmates of sites such as Auschwitz and Dachau. Inside of Auschwitz, one guard, Wilhelm Berger, looked to create the most brutal and ruthless ways to extract information from prisoners who were suspected of getting involved in resistance activities in the camps, which were of course banned. Berger's swing, which was created by the guard, forced inmates over a bar, where they were then hoisted into the air, whilst other guards battered the victim with bars and other weapons. One of the most terrifying sights of the Third Reich was Sachsenhausen, and there was a specific torture and punishment method used here, which became infamous in its use. The Sachsenhausen Salute was forced exercise, which was excruciating, and the prisoners were pushed to a huge extent within the camp. Welcome to the Fortress. Join us today as we look at the Sachsenhausen Salute, and as always, to support our channel, please make sure to subscribe. Sachsenhausen concentration camp was a camp where death lurked around every single corner. There were 200,000 prisoners that passed through the site's barbed wire fences, and over 50,000 people were killed in it. This even included the oldest son of Joseph Stalin, Yakov Zhugashvili, who walked into the electric fence around the camp, and he was then shot by a German guard. It was a ruthless camp where inmates were forced to work incredibly hard, and they were given poor food rations, and the inmates were subjected to violence and beatings at the hands of the guards. The prisoners had very poor living conditions, and there were executions carried out in public at times, and the SS guards, even in 1942, created Station Z, a purpose-built execution unit just outside the camp's walls on an industrial unit, and this contained a number of execution chambers where prisoners could be shot or hanged as well as tortured, and there were also 4 crematoria for burning the bodies, and also a sand pit, which was used as an execution trench where firing squads regularly shot into their victims. Torture at Sachsenhausen was very common. The prisoners were often forced to conduct excruciating long punishing days of exercise, and found at the camp was a marching strip around the perimeter of the roll call yard, and here inmates were forced to march over a variety of different terrains to test military footwear, which would then be sent to the German soldiers if they were any good. The inmates were often forced to cover up to 25 miles a day. They were given hardly any food, and many died from exhaustion because of this, and the guards whipped and beat them to walk quicker and faster. Some of the prisoners were even given performance-enhancing drugs to then try with the boots which were being made for the army. Many prisoners were also kept in isolation and in prison, and the guards even utilised medieval-style torture methods such as the strappado, where prisoners were hanged in the air from their wrists, which were secured behind their backs. But one of the torture methods used upon the prisoners was exclusive to Sachsenhausen, and it involved physical exercise, and it was known as the Sachsenhausen Salute. The guards of the camp came up with this, and they wanted to inflict the most amount of physical pain as possible. The salute was where an inmate was forced to assume a position where they had to squat with their arms stretched out in front of them. The salute was where a prisoner was forced to assume a position where they had to squat with their arms stretched out in front of them. They could be forced to remain in this position for hours on end, and if they fell over or stood up due to the pain on their limbs and muscles, then they would be beaten by the guards and battered. Sometimes the guards would even place weights on the inmates whilst performing the salute, which put even more strain and pain on the muscles. It was excruciating, and some inmates could be forced to walk around the camp in this position if they could move. The Sachsenhausen Salute was a simple and straightforward torture method which was performed in public to make the life of inmates painful. It was common to see groups of prisoners around the roll call yards being forced into this position for some time, squatting with their arms stretched out, and it was a ruthless torture method that inflicted strain and pain unnecessarily. It helped many of the guards to gain a reputation for being brutal overseers, and it was a simple torture method that did not require any other torture or instruments. It just needed overseers who were ardent in forcing prisoners into the position, and who would punish those if they moved from it. Thanks for watching. To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe, and once again, thank you so much for watching.